Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you all for joining this webinar. In today's webinar session, I will be introducing you to the concepts and applications of AI and will be showing you a demo on how you can create your own chatbot using the IBM AI platform. Before we begin, I want to emphasize on the fact that if at any point during this webinar you have any questions or any concerns, please feel free to ask me. You can ask your questions via the WebEx chat, which you'll be able to see on the bottom right of your screen, or you can unmute yourself by clicking on the mic icon and ask your questions directly to us. Alright, so let's begin. I will start by introducing myself. My name is Hashim Noor and I've been working as a content and application developer at IBM for the past 2 years. My areas of focus are AI, blockchain, and APIs and microservices. So before I start with my presentation on AI, let me give you a brief overview of the IBM Digital Nation platform. So I want to ask you guys, how many of you have heard about the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform? Is there anyone of you who hasn't heard about this platform yet? You can send us your answers via the poll that we have just started, and you'll be able to see that on the bottom right of your screen. So, IBM Digital Nation Africa is a free, self-paced learning and innovation platform. It consists of four main features. And these four main features are learn, earn badges, innovate, and find jobs. On our platform, we offer a variety of courses which help you learn and apply the latest emerging technologies such as cloud, AI, data science, and so on. On top of that, upon successful completion of every course and passing the quiz, you will be offered a digital badge, which is a verified proof of your achievement in learning. These digital badges can be shared on social media networks such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and are highly valued in the IT industry. But we don't just stop at theoretical learning. We also have a wide range of project-based hands-on courses which will enable you to start building innovative solutions using the latest technologies. And last but not the least, you can even look for jobs using the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform. Our job advisor tool, which is powered by IBM Watson, will help you search for jobs that are best suited to you according to your skills. It can also help you perform a skill gap analysis and suggest courses to you that will help you further enhance your skill. Now, with that being said, let me actually take you to the website of the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform and show you what it looks like. So this is the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform. And as you can see on the home page are the four main features that I discussed earlier. If you scroll down a little further, you'll be able to see our three main learning journeys, which is the Explorer learning journey, the Innovator learning journey, and the Newcomer learning journey. Let me now talk briefly about these three learning journeys and tell you what they consist of. The Explorer learning journey consists of short video-based courses which will help you get an understanding about the latest emerging technologies and will help you learn about how these are being applied. Moving on from the Explorer learning journey, we have the Innovator learning journey. And the first section in the Innovator learning journey is the Get Inspired section. The Get Inspired section features a variety of ideas which will help you get inspired and provide you with ideas that you can use to build your own solution. Moving on, we have the Design section in the Innovator learning journey, which provides you with which will help you get familiar with the design thinking methodology and will teach you how you can use this methodology when you're building your own solution. Lastly, the Build section in the Innovator journey features a variety of project-based hands-on courses which will help you learn the skills that you need to have in order to build your own solution. Lastly, we have the Newcomer journey. In the new collar journey, all the courses that are offered are in line with the latest in demand job roles that are in the market, such as artificial intelligence, web application developer, data science, etc. This section also features uh, this section also features our job advisor tool, which will help you search for jobs and uh, help you perform a skill gap analysis and give you recommendation of courses which you can take in order to enhance your skills. The platform also has a chatbot which you can use to ask questions, and if you need further clarification, you can click on the live chat button and chat with any of the available chat agents, which will be happy to assist you with any questions that you may have. So this is the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform. Now let me go back and continue with my presentation on AI. So what is AI? AI basically refers to the computer's ability to perform human-like tasks such as learning, communication, self-correction, etc. AI has a variety of applications. For example, AI can be used to predict weather patterns. AI can be used to predict stock market rates. AI can also be used to self-driving cars use AI, and AI is being used in hospitals by doctors to help them detect diseases and perform better diagnosis. So you see, really, the applications of AI are endless. Now that you have an overview of AI, I want to tell you about what IBM has to offer in the field of AI. IBM's AI platform is called IBM Watson, and it is integrated with IBM's cloud platform. You can use IBM Watson services to build AI applications. Examples of these applications that can be built using IBM Watson include machine learning models, chatbots, visual recognition applications. Apart from that, you can convert text to speech and speech to text, and so on and so forth. In today's demo, we'll be leveraging one of these IBM Watson services, which is called the IBM Watson Assistant service, in order to create our own chatbot. So before I proceed with the demo, I want to give you a brief overview of what a chatbot is. A chatbot is an AI tool that can imitate human conversation. So what happens is when you are chatting with a chatbot and you send your message, the chatbot uses AI to identify the user's intent behind that message. It then tries to determine what the user is looking for or what they want to know. And then once the chatbot has that figured out, it provides the most appropriate response to the user's queries. Chatbots have many applications. They can be integrated with websites to make it easier for users to browse through websites. They can be used in applications to answer some of the frequently asked questions by the users, or they can be used to get feedback from the users, and so on. So as you see, there are a lot of applications that chatbots can have. Let me now actually tell you about some of the common applications of chatbots that you guys might have interacted with. The best example of a chatbot is Siri, which is present in the iPhone. For those of you who have used an iPhone, you would know that you can ask Siri to do various tasks for you on your phone. Tasks such as making a phone call, setting an alarm, setting a reminder, and so on. And it is just as simple as having a conversation. You just ask Siri to make a phone call to one of your contacts, and it will do just that. Similar to Siri, Samsung users have their own chatbot, which is called Bixby. So these are some of the examples of chatbots that you guys might have interacted with. Now let's look into the major components of a chatbot. Chatbots have three main components, and these are intents, entities, and dialogues. And it's just as simple as that. Put these three components together, and you have a chatbot. So now I want you guys to remember these three components because we'll be using them in our demo. And now let us look into what these components actually are and what their function is in a chatbot. Intents, as the name suggests, is the purpose of the user's statement. It is basically what the user intends when they communicate something to the chatbot. So if I say to the chatbot, set a reminder, my intention behind that statement is that I want to set a reminder. Simple, right? But it is very important for the chatbot to categorize your statements according to the right intent because it is only then that the chatbot will be able to guide you correctly and provide you with accurate information. Entities are used to further clarify the user's intent. So for example, in the previous example, like I mentioned, if you say to the chatbot, set a reminder, the intention here is to set a reminder. But the chatbot needs more information about the intent in order to help me appropriately. For example, the chatbot needs to know the time of the reminder, the date of the reminder, and so on. And all this further information that needs to be captured from the user comes under the category of entities. The final component is the dialogue. The dialogue is basically the flow of the conversation. It is how the chatbot will actually respond to the user's queries. So now building on the earlier example, if you say to the chatbot, set a reminder, it will categorize your intent, it will ask you further questions such as the time of the reminder, the date of the reminder, and this whole flow of conversation going back and forth between the user and the chatbot is encapsulated in the dialogue. So these are the three major components of a chatbot. Once you are able to put these three components together, you will have a fully functional chatbot of your own. So now let me move on to the demo and show you how to do this process in practice. In today's demo, we'll be following 6 main steps. Firstly, we log into the IBM Cloud account. We'll create a Watson Assistant service. We'll create a dialogue skill, which is an instance of the chatbot. And then we'll proceed to create 3 major components of a chatbot that we just discussed, which are intents, entities, and dialogue. And at the end, we will have a fully functional chatbot on our own. So now let me switch from my PowerPoint to my web browser where I have the IBM Cloud website open. So this is the IBM Cloud website. In order to do our first step, which is creating a Watson Assistant service, what we'll do is we'll go to the search bar and type Watson Assistant. And once we get the service name, we'll click on it. And this will give you an option to create an instance of the Watson Assistant service. Over on this page, you select a meaningful name for the service. So let's say for the purpose of this demo, I can call this service Webinar Watson Assistant. And then I will click on Create. And once I click on Create, an instance of my service will be generated, and I will be redirected to the main page of the service. Over here, you click on the Launch Watson Assistant button in order to start the service. So you click on the Launch Watson Assistant button and wait for the service to load. It generally takes a couple of seconds. And then once the service loads, you'll be able to see the 2 main tabs on the top, which are the Assistants tab and the Skills tab. We'll go to the Skills tab and click on Create Skill. This skill is basically what we are doing is we are creating an instance of the chatbot. So for the purpose of this demo, let us create a chatbot for a restaurant. Such a chatbot can help users with queries like timings of the restaurant, the available menu, etc. So let's go ahead and call our chatbot restaurant chatbot. Restaurant chatbot. And once we are done with that, once we are done with that, we'll click on create dialog skill, and we will wait for the instance of the chatbot to be generated. Once the chatbot is created, the next step is to create the three main components of a chatbot: the intents, the entities, and the dialogues. The first step is to create intents. Intents, like I mentioned, is the purpose behind the user's query. So let's say a user interacts with our chatbot, the restaurant chatbot, and he wants to book a table at the restaurant. In that case, the user's intention is to make a reservation. So in order to create that intent, we'll click on the create intent button, and we'll name our intent make book, and then we will click on create intent. After that, we will add a few examples of what a user might say to the chatbot when they want to book a table. So user might say things like, book a table for me. We'll add this example. A user might say, I want to reserve a table. I want to. We'll add that example. We can add one more example, which, let's say the user says, book table. So there can be quite a few examples, and we can add them. And then once we have added all the examples of how a user might probe the chatbot to book a table, we will click on the back button, and over here you will be able to see the first intent, which is the make booking intent. Once we have created our intent, we'll create entities. So with our make booking intent, the chatbot needs some additional information, such as the time of the booking, the restaurant branch for which the booking is, the date of the booking, etc. All this information is specified in the entities. So let us create our entities. We will click on the entities tab, and from the entities tab we will click on create entity. Right, and then let's add our first entity, which is to specify which branch of the restaurant the booking is for. Let's say we can name this entity branch. Click on create. And let's say our restaurant has two branches. The first one is on Main Street, and let's say the other one is in downtown. We will specify both of these pieces of information in our entity. We'll write the name of the branch, which is Main Street. We'll also add a synonym of what a user might say when they want to book a table at the Main Street branch. So the user might just say main, or they might say main branch, right? And then we'll add the value for our second branch, which is in downtown, right? A user might write this in a different way with a space, so we'll add that, and we'll add that value as well. And in a similar manner, we need to add the entities which specify the date and the time of the booking. For such entities, Watson Assistant Service already has a pre-made entity which will help you capture the time and the date of a booking. And this restaurant, these entities you can find in the System Entities tab. So over here, you just go on and find the system entity for date, and we can select this as on, and it will help us capture the date of the booking from the user. We can do the similar for an entity for the time. And now we have all our entities created. The last step in creating a chatbot is to build the dialogue. We'll leverage our entities and intents in the dialogue. So let's go on and click the dialogue tab. So we'll click on create dialog, and on the dialog page we'll be able to see the dialog nodes. These dialog nodes define how the conversation takes place between the user and the chatbot. So as you can see, the first dialog node is the welcome node. Let me click on it, and this is the node that is responsible for displaying a greeting message to the user when they first interact with the chatbot. So as you can see, there is a sample greeting message over here, which will be displayed to the user as soon as they interact with the chatbot. We can customize this message accordingly. We can say, hello, I am a restaurant chatbot. For example, this is one of the examples, right? So once that's done, we will add another dialog node by clicking on this button, which will help us cater for the booking intent. And we will name this dialog node make booking or booking table, right? So what we do is what we specify that as soon as a user interacts with the chatbot and the intent of the user is to make a booking, they are automatically redirected to this node. In order to build this dialog, what we need to do is we need to click the Customize tab and select the Slots tab. Select the Slots tab as on. This tab helps us capture the input from the user. So once we are done with that, we'll click on Apply, and then it will give us options. So as soon as the user interacts with the chatbot and the intention is to make booking, the chatbot will check for the entities. It will check that if the time of the booking has been specified. If it's not been specified, then it will ask the user what time is the booking. Secondly, it will also check if the date of the booking has been specified. If it's not been specified, then chatbot will ask the user what date is the booking for. And lastly, it will check for the branch. So if the branch of the restaurant has not been specified, then the chatbot will ask the user which branch of the restaurant is the booking for. Let me correct the spelling error. Okay, so now we have specified all our entities. So what happens is, as soon as a user interacts with the chatbot and the chatbot recognizes that the user wants to make a booking, it will check for all of these pieces of additional information which are required in order to make a booking. And then once these informations have been, all of these pieces of information have been gathered from the user, the chatbot will respond with a confirmation. Great, your booking is confirmed. Right? So now let us go ahead and see what this process looks like. Let us go and actually chat with the chatbot. For that, we'll click on the Try It button, and it displays us the welcome message, which is hello, I am a restaurant chatbot. And we type our message. Let's say we want to book a table, so we'll type I want to book a table, right? So the chatbot recognizes that my intention over here is to make a booking, and because I didn't specify any time for the booking or date or any branch, the chatbot will ask me for the time. Let's say I say 12 p.m. It assigns 12 p.m. to my booking, and then it asks me for more information such as the date. Let's say the date is 12 June 2019. Again, that date is this information is also added, and finally it asks for the branch. Let's say I write the Main Street branch. I provide this information, and once all this information has been provided, I get a confirmation message that great, your booking is confirmed. Right? Now let's see what happens. Now this is one example of an interaction that a user might have with a chatbot. However, for some users, they might just specify all the pieces of information in one sentence, right? So maybe I will go to the chatbot and I will say, I want to make a booking for 12 p.m. on 12 June 2019 in the downtown branch. Now I have specified all the information that a chatbot needs in order to make a booking in this sentence. So once I click on enter, the chatbot will recognize that my intention is to make a booking, and since all the information has been provided, it doesn't need to ask me anything else, and it just gives me the confirmation message. So now that is it for the demo. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, I see that I have a question. Someone's asking, how can this chatbot be integrated with our own application? Very good question. So there is no straightforward way to do that. There are a couple of steps that need to be followed, and oh, I'm sorry, I meant that there is a very straightforward way to do that, and by following a couple of steps, you can integrate your chatbot with your application, and I will send you the link to those steps in the chat. And another question is saying, another user is asking, how can I see the kind of questions the user is asking? Very simple. You can just go on the analytics tab, and over here it will show you all kinds of messages that you have been receiving, and how many conversations you have been having. Because since we didn't have any conversation, since we didn't provide the chatbot with a lot of data, over here our conversations are 0, but as more users interact with the chatbot, this data will get populated. So are there any other questions? If there are no questions, I'm going to continue with my presentation. So now that we are done with the demo, I want to tell you guys that if you want to continue learning about AI, we have a comprehensive learning path that you can follow, starting with a short introductory explorer course, followed by hands-on courses in the innovator section, and then in-depth learning about artificial intelligence via our new color courses. So, and that is it for today's webinar. If you want to stay updated with new content and courses, you can follow our Facebook group, and you can search for IBM Digital-Nation in Facebook search, or you can go to the link provided, and you'll be able to join our Facebook group. Thank you for joining this webinar. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, please mention that to us via our Facebook group. Thank you very much.